Hey folks, this is number 2 in a series on the hazards of picking, the various dangers that we encounter when we're out. Now, this first one, which you'll see next, is right here. That is not a well, it's actually a septic tank, and the concrete cover has shattered, probably due to ice freezing, thawing, and freeze-thaw cycle, and is now wide open. And it's deeper than it looks, and also probably pretty nasty, considering what's probably been falling in there for quite a while. There was I believe in this particular one, there was a carcass in the bottom of it. Coyote or dog met its fate, unfortunately, in the bottom and drowned. So watch out. That wasn't visible until pretty much you were right on top of it, right at the edge of it. So if you were walking and looking straight ahead, you'd be deep down and in it. Deep in shit, as they say. That pile of white stuff is wrappings off of steam pipes and heating pipes, and it's impregnated and full of asbestos. You're going to encounter this stuff in basements quite a bit, which is one of the reasons I wear a mask, one of many, or try to wear a mask. This particular site was an old military base, and everything was coated or otherwise covered in asbestos. Asbestos tiles, asbestos wrapping, asbestos walls. Whole walls made of sheets of asbestos. So when this stuff goes airborne, of course, you can end up with asbestosis. There's another name which I can't remember at the moment. Basically ends up in your lungs and destroys your lungs, your breathing capacity. It's advisable to wear a mask in those situations, and obviously wash your clothes and such after that well, and just if you can avoid disturbing the material, that's best. Usually a lot of times it's wrapped around furnaces, the steam pipes, heating pipes. Like I said, in this particular site, it was it was in the walls, it was everywhere. Anyway, the next one, which you'll see here, not look like anything. You can see nothing, and both photos show the same thing, and that's Hairrows that are upside down in the grass, and they're spikes about yay long, and once they've been through the ground, they wear down a bit, but they also can sharpen a bit. Driving over them is problematic because your tires are going to definitely blow. There's no way you'll get across a set of Hairrows without your tires being pierced. Walking on them, you're going to at least trip, if not potentially have one go through your boot. If you step on it hard enough, that is. They are pretty thick things, but if you happen to trip and fall on them, it's like falling into a pit with lined with spikes. So, not fun. Another one is these things. And for you folks that don't live in the country, that's a cow patty. The most dangerous thing about them is slipping. It's true. You step on them and they're still wet inside or wet outside as well, and you'll go for a bit of a fall. So, and they don't smell too nice either. No. So, and the next thing, those are potholes. I'm sure you see them in the city plenty, but when you hit them on a gravel road doing 100 kilometers an hour, you're bound to go for a bit of a bounce and possibly a twist and bin around the road. So watch out for them. And now the next one, which I still don't remember, don't know which way, but it's one of the ways. There's another one here. And that one is erosion. That, what you see there, is probably 100 feet on a riverbank, and that's only a portion of it. Nearing the sides, if you get on top of the edge of that ravine, the ground will basically just tumble out from under you. So getting anywhere near close to that edge is pretty nasty, pretty dangerous, and being underneath when it starts to collapse is not going to be fun either. Self-explanatory. That's a blown tire on my trailer. I don't know what I hit, or whether it was just fatigue in the tire or what, but yeah, it blew, and it blew good. So I'd advise all those pickers out there to learn how to change a tire. You're going to need to. You don't want to be stranded somewhere with no cell service and not be able to limp out of there. I'd always carry a spare for the trailer as well, of course. Unfortunately, on my new van, or not my new van, my latest van, it's a 1-ton, and it's a lot harder to change the tires than those. And I'm not carrying a spare at the moment. Better get on that. Now, the next thing is, wait a sec, this. Yeah, cold temperatures, or hot temperatures for that matter. You can end up with heat stroke pretty fast. It's a lot hotter in an attic on a summer's day than it is in the rest of the building or outside. So watch for heat stroke. Make sure you've got water with you, or preferably probably not energy drinks. No energy drinks. Something like Powerade or Gatorade or something like that. Something that's going to replenish some of the salts and such in your system. Now for cold, it's a little harder. Carry coffee with you, or tea or whatever in the thermos jug, and just generally dress for the weather. The thermometer you see there is at minus 30 degrees Celsius, which is approximately minus 28 Fahrenheit, thereabouts, something like that. Darn cold, very cold. And when you get the wind chills going, it can dip below that by a major amount, can drop into the minus 40 range. And that's minus 40 Fahrenheit as well. So, anyway, and talking about weather, you got to watch out for these in the summer. I mean these. This way. Now, that, my friends, is a funnel cloud. From a distance, and it's up in the sky, so it can't harm you. It's when it gets to the ground that there's an issue. Once it hits the ground, then you got a tornado. And your best bet is to drive the opposite direction to where it's going. They say at a 90-degree angle to it. Sometimes that's not possible. So just try to go in the opposite direction. Unless you're a storm chaser and your vehicle's outfitted for it, don't bother. Especially if you've got a load on. You've got a picking load on, stuff loose in the back of your truck, or valuable stuff in your van, stuff stuffed into the car. Just go the opposite direction. Getting footage of it is not worth your life. Now, dealing with weather and such, lightning is another thing. Be very aware of storms and that sort of thing, especially if you're in an open area. You can be walking across a field and get struck. You're probably the tallest thing in that field. or on the prairies anyway. Anyway, another thing to watch for is this. Yeah, that's me with my leg through a floor, second floor, and there's boards with nails and all kinds of stuff underneath. So had I fallen through the floor, I would have been injured. Now it's obviously it's a stage photo, yeah, but the thing is, just watch out for those floors. Basically, you have to learn to walk on the nail pattern that indicates where the joists are, and they'll be more solid than the rest of the floor. The floor itself can be rotted, but the joists normally, hopefully, are still fairly solid. I've been in barns where the whole floor is rotten. You can't tell until you walk on it because it's covered in hay and the water's been accumulating and it's rotted through. And even the first half inch or inch of the joists are rotted. So even walking on the joists tend to be a bit problematic because the top layer is basically crumbling and will send you for a fall. And in those cases, I end up using solid wood planks to try to walk across those, and even that's not exactly fun. You could use a ladder or something and stretch it across the joists so that you're not touching the floor, but then you're still doing a tightrope back on the rungs, and that's still dangerous. So it's dangerous no matter how you cut it. I'd use thick planks if possible, and make gang planks or a walkway to walk on those sorts of things. I've been in plenty where you've had to tightrope walk across the joists, some with no floors in them, and basements full of water and that sort of thing. So you got to watch. You really got to be careful in these buildings. Falling through the floor is not going to be fun, and could be life-claiming. Anyway, so that's about it for this round. And there's still plenty of other things you've got to watch for and got to be aware of. You got to keep your safety in mind at all times. You can get distracted so easy and end up getting cut, getting hurt, turning an ankle, breaking a leg even. Last year there was a photographer who fell down a well and died. He was alone, nobody knew where he was, and he was on property that he probably shouldn't have been on, but he fell down a well and ended up dying. Took his life. So it's not all fun and games. You got to watch what you're doing. Just like anything else, be safe, and you'll enjoy it for a lot longer. Anyway, happy picking, safe picking. Take care.